Today you are here for the Ulysses Currie Head Start State Supplemental Grant. We are going to provide an overview of the grant requirements. The purpose, eligibility, and requirements. We're going to do an overview of the application, your grant application timeline, submission requirements, the grant review process and scoring rubric, as well as next steps and program support. Through the presentation, you will have an opportunity for questions and answers. If we are unable to answer your question today, we will provide the answer to your questions on the web page and ensure that you receive that information. But I'm hoping that I will have all of the answers to your questions today. So first, our purpose. The purpose of the Ulysses Currie Head Start State Supplemental Grant. The Ulysses Currie Head Start State Supplemental Grant is administered here at the Division of Early Childhood is administered by the Division of Early Childhood at the Maryland State Department of Education. And the goal is to provide supplemental funding for existing Head Start and Early Head Start programs. And we want you to build on the foundation that you already have to enhance service delivery, instructional practices, and school readiness by expanding services. According to the Maryland Code, Education 5231, the governor shall include in the annual state budget an appropriation of at least $3 million for the Ulysses Currie Head Start program. MSDE is responsible for developing grant requirements as well as administering and monitoring the grant program. What do we want you to do with this funding? We want you to provide high quality programming and learning experiences for the children that you serve. How do you do that? By expanding your hours of service. You can increase the hours of the program day for children and families from 3.5 hours to 6.5 hours, or from 6.5 hours to 10 hours. Extend your program year. You can add 4 to 6 weeks of summer programming for children and families by targeting supports for children who may be transitioning to pre-kindergarten or kindergarten, as well as children who receive additional educational or developmental supports. Quality enhancements. You can provide professional learning opportunities for education staff to enhance instructional practices in early literacy, math, and socio-emotional learning. You can also provide salary enhancement to retain education staff. Eligibility and requirements. Who may apply? Head Start grantees are eligible to apply. They can provide services such as extend hours of service, expand the program year, provide professional development, or salary enhancement. Early Head Start grantees can also apply. They can extend the hours of service through the day. They can increase their daily hours of service. They can provide professional development, and they can also provide salary enhancement. As you see, early Head Start programs do not have the opportunity to expand the program year because they are already a full year program. Families already receive full year services through Early Head Start, so they can expand their service hours. Program eligibility. This funding is an opportunity to help programs who are in good standing. You need to demonstrate your current federal compliance as a grantee or delegate. You also need to be participating in the Maryland Excels program. And you need to identify how state supplemental funding will enhance program quality and school readiness outcomes. So, program requirements. If you choose to expand hours of service, you're looking at providing a full day to meet the needs of children and families. For Head Start programs, that is no less than 6.5 hours and no more than 10 hours per day. Early Head Start, no less than 10 hours per day. Extend the program year. Summer programming, 4 to 6 weeks over the summer. Head Start can provide summer learning, again, targeted to support all children or specific populations of children, no less than 4 weeks and no more than 6 weeks. Quality enhancements. You can provide professional learning opportunities for education staff to enhance instructional practices in early literacy, math, and social emotional learning. These professional learning opportunities need to be up and above what you already have included in your program plan for the year. You can also provide let me go back. You can also provide salary enhancements to retain education staff. And again, Maryland excels. You program sites must be participating in Maryland excels. Maryland excels is our way of identifying the level of quality that programs provide to their families as well as to the children that they serve. And you want to make sure that your proposed programming aligns with the state system development goals. And the link to those goals are included in the grant information guide, what we call a gig here at MSDE. So, application overview, we are going to examine and hopefully give you an explanation of the grant application section. So, cover page. The cover page is important. You must complete this information, this page in full. All requested information is required. Project abstract. You want to introduce your program and the proposed project. Don't assume that persons know what your program is, how you provide your program. A lot of people may not know what Head Start does or Early Head Start. So you want to introduce your program and the proposed project because the persons who are going to read your proposal may not be familiar with your actual program. You want to provide your extent of need, describe how the funds are needed and how they will support quality programming and school readiness outcomes. Your evidence of impact. Describe your program's history of implementing evidence and or research-based practices and achieving the designated outcomes and goals based upon those evidence and research-based practices. Also, describe how your proposal plan will lead to the desired goals, the goals that you have created in your plan. How will this plan help you achieve those goals? You want to provide program information and projected enrollment. You want to identify your program locations, and that's your site locations. You want to provide your Maryland Excels participation and rating. Yes, we participate in Maryland Excels, and we are a quality rating 5, quality rating 4, 3, 2, or 1. You want to provide the projected number of children that will be served using the funding that you are requesting. Goals, outcomes, and milestones. You want to identify clear goals and objectives and how they will be achieved at the end of the grant period. Plan of operation, key personnel, and timeline. You want to provide information that will help us see how you will accomplish your goals, enhance school readiness outcomes. You want to list the staff responsible for successful grant implementation, as well as the monitoring of grant requirements. You want to identify the key tasks and activities that will be conducted throughout the life of the grant. and when those tasks and activities will be implemented. It is important that you recognize that if you choose to use the grant for extended year providing summer programming, you are still required to submit reports throughout the life of the grant. Even if no activity is occurring, you're still required to submit reports. So that's why it's important for you to share the staff that's responsible for successful grant implementation and monitoring of the grant requirements. Evaluation and dissemination. You want to describe how will the grant program be evaluated. We want to ensure continuous quality. We want to ensure that the grant program is impactful as well as effective. You want to provide a plan that is detailed with how data, findings, and reports are provided to pertinent stakeholders such as parents, staff, community representatives, as well as MSDE. For your budget and your budget narrative, you want to provide a detailed description of the requested funds that will be spent by the designated categories. The budget must be reasonable, allowable, and cost effective. Appendices. You want to attach all supporting documents. The appendices must be included in the proposal for the funding. Applications without the required appendices will be considered incomplete and will not be scored. The grant application timeline. The grant opened on June 20th and it closes on August 22nd. MSDE, we are holding virtual customer service support sessions, and this is an opportunity for you to get an overview of the grant program as well as to ask questions and get answers to your questions. Today's session is our last virtual customer support session. However, I am here if you need to ask a question. You can send an email, you can set up a virtual meeting, you can also call, and I will return your call. The grant application period closes on August 22nd. All applications not received by that timeline will not be reviewed. August 23rd, MSDE will begin reviewing applications for completeness as well as identifying if the application meets the minimum requirements. The review committee will begin to evaluate proposals after the review of the applications have been completed. By on or before September 19th, award notification will be provided to eligible programs, and the grant period begins July 1. I know your application is coming in after July 1, but the grant funds are available starting July 1, and the grant period ends September 30th, 2024. So let me restate that. The grant period begins July 1, 2023, and it goes until September 30th, 2024. Submission requirements. An electronic grant application form is provided on the MSDE website. Interested applicants must download the application, attach any supporting documentation as appendices, and submit the packet in its entirety in PDF format. The application must be typed and presented in an organized and professional manner. The prescribed cover sheet must be the first page of the proposal and signed by the head of the agency. Grantee assurances. The applicant must agree to comply with the terms and conditions outlined in the assurances. The assurances page must be signed and dated by the head of the agency. The grant review process and scoring rubric. The review of applications will be a two-part process. Applications will be pre-screened for submission requirements and inclusion of all required sections. Again, applicants not meeting all pre-screen requirements will not be reviewed. A review committee established by MSDE will evaluate applications using a scoring rubric. The scoring rubric was provided in the grant information guide, and it is important that you review the grant information guide in totality to ensure that you are familiar with the review process. Grant applications will be evaluated using the following criteria. They are three levels: exceeds criteria, meets criteria, or does not meet criteria. And this is an example of one section of the scoring rubric. So when you look at the project abstract, you want to look at the scoring rubric to ensure that you have met each, I would think, criteria in level 3. You want to exceed, but you could just meet the criteria, but we're looking for exceeds criteria. So you want to make sure that your project abstract summarizes the overarching program, activities being proposed, that the reader has a clear understanding of the content and what it is that you're trying to do. The abstract is concise and focused. Um, you want to make sure that you are discussing everything that you want in the proposal and allowing the reader to visualize what it is that you are going to do with the project funds. So next steps and program support. The application. Again, to access the grant application as well as the grant information guide, you want to visit the webpage, which I'm sure you all have done because that's where you receive the link to today's customer service session. You want to click on the Ulysses Currie State Supplemental Funding Grant for FY2024. And then you want to submit your applications to myself, Vanessa Jones, at vanessa.jones1. Please do not leave off the number 1 because if you do, I will not receive your application. So again, vanessa.jones1 at maryland.gov. And applications are due no later than 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on August 22nd, 2023. Award notifications. Notifications of award will be sent by email within 30 days after your application submission. Remember that the processing of the official notice of grant awards, which we call a NOGA, it can take up to 6 to 8 weeks. However, when you receive your grant award letter, your notification of award, you are able to begin services and implementation of the grant. The grant timeline is July 1st, 2023 through September 30th, 2024. Reporting requirements. Fiscal and program monitoring is ongoing throughout the life of the grant. It is important that we maintain fiscal and program monitoring. You have to submit your program reports, and you have to monitor the program both fiscally and programmatically throughout the life of the grant. Your interim progress reports, there's interim progress report number 1 and number 2. You want to report on activities that occurred through July 1st, 2023 through November 30th, 2023. If there are no activities when you submit your interim progress report, that's what you would put on that report. No activities occurred during this time frame. Again, report number 2, December 1st, 2023 through April 30th, 2024. Again, if there's no activities, then no activities occurred. If you submit an invoice for materials, activities, or anything during that period of time, that needs to be covered in your interim progress report. If there's an invoice, that means that activities occurred and it needs to be covered in your interim progress report. And progress reports are due on the due date specified in your award letter. Your final report is due on November 30th. It's 60 days after the end of the grant period. And the final report covers the entire grant period. You also include a project evaluation during that time, and you include your final invoice. It is very important that we adhere to the reporting dates, the invoicing dates, and if you're unable to spend the funds, you need to have that communication with the program manager, the grant manager, so that we can see if an amendment, a programmatic amendment is due, or something like that. But remember, programmatic amendments must be submitted at least 45 days prior to the end of the grant cycle. Program support. MSDE will provide ongoing support throughout the life of the grant by the review of programmatic reports, invoice and supporting document submission, virtual as well as on-site monitoring visits, and requested technical assistance sessions. You, as a program, as a grantee, if you are awarded a grant, you can request a technical assistance session at any time during the life of the grant. We are here to support you. We are here to ensure that you are able to successfully accomplish the goals and objectives that you provided in your program proposal. So we want you to know that program support is available throughout the life of the grant. Contact information. If you have questions about the application or the process, you can contact me by email at vanessa.jones1@maryland.gov or telephone 410-767-0602. This is the conclusion of the presentation. However, we are still able to ask questions and have dialogue around the grant. So if there are any questions, this is your opportunity. Please come off mute and ask your questions.
Good morning, Vanessa. This is Shannon. How are you?
I'm doing well, Shannon. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Thanks for this very informative session, and I'm glad I attended because there's some changes that I found in the process. So I see that for programming, it's now limited to 4 to 6 weeks. And I'm curious if could you propose to do 2 groups of 3 weeks to equal the 6? Because in the past I've done 8 weeks of summer session, and so
well, you can still do 8 weeks, Shannon. I mean, we are flexible in that, but we we were trying to let programs know that there is flexibility, because some programs could only get staffing for 4 or 6 weeks. If you have been successful at doing an 8-week program, you can still continue to do that and submit your proposal for that, because that's what you have done in previous years.
Oh, thank you so much. I was trying to figure out how I'm going to redo a whole summer plan. So thanks.
No, you don't have to redo it. And I apologize. We should have, that could have been explained a little better in the gig, but that's something that we will take into consideration for next year. If you've already implemented an 8-week program and you want to continue an 8-week program, that is allowable.
Thanks for that.
So I guess my question, I made a note with regard to the extension for early Head Start. So we were able to take the supplement last year and increase our program from 6.5 to 7 hours, and that was what we were thinking again for this year. So you're telling me, is that still something that we can do, or we can only do it if we try to move it to 10 hours?
No, it says a minimum of 6 and a maximum of 10. Okay. So anywhere between 6 and 10 is allowable, but I'm hoping that you are also looking at what the needs of your families are. If they need an 8-hour day or a 10-hour day, you are taking that into consideration.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, you're welcome, Caroline. I'm glad it was clear. And if you get off the call today and have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Well, I'll call you in a heartbeat to send you an email.
I know you will, Corey. And I appreciate your calls as well as your emails. I'm here to serve. I'm here to assist you all.
Good, and it does help to know that we do have resources available out there for us, and then get our questions answered, in a short turnaround. So that's good. I appreciate that too.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for all you do. You're working to take care of our children and families and make sure they receive what they need. So we want to ensure that we're doing the same for you. That's my goal.
Well, good, because some days, look, the struggle is real. I must admit.
I understand.
And we talk about too sometimes, just trying to even get families engaged in some of the things we're trying to do for them. They're quick to come and get the takeaways real quick, and then after that, you don't see them anymore.
I'll
do it. I'm interested in it. You set the things up for them, and it's like, okay, where are you? Oh, I couldn't make it. Oh, I didn't have a
right. Howard, they can share all the barriers, and maybe that's a way. That's another opportunity of, looking at what are the barriers to family engagement and seeing how we can be creative and innovative with helping those families, as well as giving that information to MSDE, because there are maybe opportunities that we can help with the family engagement and seeing how we can support programs with the innovative ways to get families more engaged, and not just the same old parents volunteer for field trips or parents come into the classroom, but what other things can we do to really get families engaged in the programming. So let us know how we can support you. If we need to have a brainstorming session, I'm available.
Sounds good. And even for us, as I was sharing with some colleagues before, understanding all early Head Start programs are not held by the same type of grantees.
Exactly.
So we're fortunate enough to be held by CAP agencies, and we have other resources that we can bundle, for lack of a better word.
Right.
And we do try to figure out ways to give families all that we can give them in one place. But again, sometimes just getting them to understand, the value of some of these things.
Mm-hmm.
I tell parents, too, we're not just trying to give your child an early head start for school, but also parents, you too, because you have to learn how to be involved and active in your child's life, advocate for your child as you move forward over the next 12 years of their academic career. So this is designed to help you too. But again, sometimes it's like, man, you just can't get them to come back, return your phone call.
I understand, Corey. I understand, and what you said just now really hit home for me. Is that one of the things that I'm trying to do is to educate internally of what Head Start is, and that Head Start is not ran or managed by all the same type of organizations.
That's
There are
correct.
various community organizations, both government as well as just standalone community organizations
That's
who
correct.
receive the federal Head Start grant, because Head Start is federal to local. So we need to partner with all programs, all agencies, and ensure that we know who they are. And that's one of the things that I'm trying to educate my colleagues on, is understanding Head Start, not just as a preschool program, but looking at the organizations that receive the federal grant and the other opportunities that they provide to families as well. So, the best person to do that is Head Start. You have to share your story, share your impact.
Right.
We have to figure out a way to do that. How do we share the impact of Head Start and early Head Start across Maryland? Because we know that the numbers may say one thing, but we know what's going on the ground in the classrooms with the children, as well as what's going on in the family partnership landscape, how families are meeting goals that they have set for themselves. Yeah, it might be hard to get them engaged fully, but they are meeting the goals that they have set for themselves by the support that the organizations behind the Head Start program is providing. So we're gonna figure it out, Corey.
It's just gonna, Vanessa, it's going to really take a concerted effort. And unfortunately, this is something that's probably gonna have to work from the top. Will provide the support, but it's gonna have to be pushed from the bottom up, because unfortunately, you sitting where you are and you saying, "I got resources for you," but you don't have access to the people to get it to them.
Right.
So it becomes incumbent upon us as a program to try to get these people in and connected back up to the resources.
Right. Right.
And like you said too, the other piece to the puzzle is that every grantee doesn't have the same wheelhouse of knowledge. Again, because and like you said, if it's a church versus a YMCA versus an LEA versus a CAT, versus some other nonprofit. So the backgrounds are different. So the knowledge of how and what and access to things is just that far different, across the state. So some things to think about. Look, I hear you. Okay, I hear you. I hear you.
Well, the Head Start State Collaboration Office, we are here, and we are listening, and we are partnering with all programs across the state. And that's the goal. We want to partner with all programs. Head Start, Mr. Chaudhary is committed to early childhood and looking at innovative ways to connect families, as well as to ensure that all children are receiving the opportunities that they need. So we are going to continue to push forward and do the work.
All right.
I know this session is scheduled until 11, so I'm going to be here until 11. And if there are any other questions, persons can ask their questions, or you can send me an email or telephone call, either or.
Quick question. Your PowerPoint presentation, is that slide deck available or not?
It will be available on the website, on the grants page with the application. I believe it's already up there. Christine, is Christine can let us know. She's going to put the link in the chat.
I'm looking for it right now to see if
Okay.
it's there. We do
Mhm.
have previous recordings on there. I'm
Right.
looking for the. I'm going to put the link to the webpage in here, and then I'll dig a little deeper and see if I can
Okay.
get the.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they put it on there.
Thanks,
If not,
Vanessa.
we will.
Take care.
Yeah, it looks like the recordings from the previous session was there. We'll need to add the slide deck to the resources at the bottom.
Okay.
Okay.
The
We'll add
Q&A is there, and that will be updated with today's questions, and then I'll ask web request to put the slide deck there too.
Okay. And I'll send I thought I sent it, but I'll send it again. I'll I'll format it for the web page and send it.
Okay.
Perfect. Thanks.
Mhm.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm. You're welcome.
Cause look, that using your slide deck for me, I can take your slide deck and explain some things to folks a whole lot easier.
Yes, I mean, and if you if you want, Corey, you can. I don't mind doing a virtual talk with your staff or
Yeah. Well,
whomever may be.
I think I have.
Just let me know.
Okay, yes, I think I have enough. But if I need you, I can say, I have no qualm in saying, hey,
I know.
whether it's morning, night, or weekends, I will reach out.
I know. I know. I know.
So that was great. All right. Well, I'm actually going to take advantage. I can jump off and go check on another training we got going on
Okay. Give
downstairs.
you 20 minutes back to your workday.
Yes, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming on, and thank you for your questions.
No problem. Christine, thanks for your help too today.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Well,
I
Bonnie
think
left
that's
too.
it.
So let me stop recording. Let me see where am I manage recording.